Welcome back. You're watching Network Africa. Let's turn now to South Africa, which, according to the IMF, has regained the title of Africa's largest economy, just 2 years after Nigeria rebased its economy to have enjoyed that title. Bragging rights. Nigerian economy was rebased in 2014 to include previously unaccounted for industries such as telecoms, information technology, music, online sales, airlines, and film production. But the Naira has fallen sharply since it was devaluated. Nigeria has been trying to wean off its dependence on oil and was greatly affected by the recent stumps in price, and is now looking to agriculture to wean itself off its dependence on oil. South Africa, however, has already had a more diverse economy. Although unemployment remains high in the country, its economy is still expected to grow above 1% this year. CEO of financial derivatives company, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, joins us now to explain the economics of the new title. Mr. Rawani, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon, Amarachi.
Now, see what has been happening to South Africa's economy this year, especially. How is it possible that they're claiming the top spot?
Now, first and foremost, let us understand what rebasing means. Rebasing means that you are having a more accurate measure of your economy, of output, and the output is now standardized and discounted in and denominated in US dollars. So at the time we did the rebasing in 2014, our currency was $522 billion. Our output was $522 billion. Now, and that made us #1 in Africa and #25 in the world. What has happened because of currency adjustments and a true reflection of market value, we have now dropped to $296 billion. We are now #2 in Africa, but also #38 in the world. We have lost 13 spots in the global economic ranking and lost 1 spot in the African economic ranking. Moreover, there's Egypt, which is very close behind. With some luck, Egypt could overtake either South Africa and Nigeria. So the question, your #2 position is not even guaranteed. As a matter of fact, you are more likely to drop to #3 if Egypt does some of the right things. I think that's it. But our aspiration, our economic aspirations, are that we want to be #1 in Africa and among the top 20 in the world. That has become much more difficult. We are now #38, just like Aliko Dangote has dropped from the top 30 of the richest men of the world to #62. And that's what currency translation means. You gain sometimes and you lose sometimes.
Yeah, Mr. Rawani, you already answered the next question I would have asked, which was where that leaves Egypt and Nigeria, because we did see Egypt catching up very quickly, outpacing South Africa's largest. Do we understand, what they're doing right, perhaps?
No, I think it's a currency translation effect. The output in Egypt or South Africa or Nigeria has not changed. The output of yesterday is still the same as today, but the value of the currency has changed. So when our currency begins to strengthen, we'll see ourselves go up. But 2 things you can do. One is to increase your output, which is what we're trying to do with the stimulus. And once we get into positive growth, we had 2 quarters of negative growth. When we get into positive growth, that will improve our position. When our currency strengthens, which is what we expect to happen, it will improve our position. So we can easily get back to a #1 position, but it's going to come out of hard work rather than prayers.
Will this be possible with the current economic policies that we're practicing?
Yes, because what is happening is that there's a fiscal stimulus, and that fiscal stimulus will be followed by a recovery. But it's not going to be a very quick recovery. It's going to be a slow and painful recovery. But the trajectory starts. And if oil prices increase and our oil output increases, then we may see ourselves moving up. Right now, our oil output is officially at 1.5. It could be actually as low as 1.4 or 1.3. If we can get back to 2.2 million barrels, that will actually add a lot to our output and also add a lot to the value of our currency. And that will help the situation. So these are difficult times for Nigeria, but there are always rough patches in any economy.
Yeah, and we're already talking about diversification. We're looking towards agriculture right now. So how much of an impact will that make before we get back on track?
Well, the thing about diversification, those are structural changes, and structural changes take time. The value of the currency is a monetary change, and that is instantaneous. So the currency value is going to precede the diversification And then the sustainability and stability of that revenue stream is what agriculture is going to be doing. You're going to be seeing palm nuts, you're going to be seeing cocoa, you're going to be seeing ginger, you're going to be seeing gum arabic, you're going to be seeing all of these things. And also a reduction in our import bill. So the economy is going through some turbulence right now, but I'm confident and highly optimistic that we'll get through it, but not without some hard work.
Mr. Iwane, thank you so much for shedding more light on this.
It's a pleasure.
So other news now, we're looking at a major health crisis in the Central African Republic. 12 people have already been killed by an outbreak of cholera since the beginning of this month. 19 cases have been registered in Njuku, where cholera first surfaced. 8 of them are now dead. The country is working with UNICEF to provide clean drinking water. The gastrointestinal disease is spread through contaminated water and food and can cause severe diarrhea, leading to fatal dehydration in some cases and kidney failure within a few hours. The games are in full swing in Rio. Apart from African countries competing in the global event is a team of athletes who are refugees. It would be the first time refugees will be participating in the Olympics, so it's no wonder several members of the Congolese refugee community in Rio assembled to watch their nationals compete.
Members of the Congolese refugee community in Rio gathered to watch their compatriots compete in the Olympics as part of the first ever refugee team to take part in the Games. With teary eyes, the Congolese refugees watched judokas Yolande Mabike and Popol Masinga on a big screen. Yolande Mabike was the first to compete. She lost to a tough Israeli opponent, Linda Boulder. Popol Masinga, however, won his round and became the first refugee athlete to win a competition at the Olympic Games. Later, Masinga lost to Korean Gwak Dong-hon in the elimination round. Among the judoka's supporters, the result was irrelevant. Charlie Congo, a Congolese refugee living in Brazil, said the refugee athletes' participation in the Olympics was a huge victory for refugees to be recognized as human beings, as athletes like everyone else. He says it sends a message that a refugee is like anybody else.
Meanwhile, top UN officials believe Europe's current migrant situation, can be managed with the complete cooperation of the international community. During a press conference in New York, the UN Special Advisor on Refugees and Migrants, Karen Abu Zaid, said refugees could be treated better at reception areas. Her words were almost re-echoed by the President of the General Assembly, Morgan Lechtoft, at the first ever summit for refugees.
For most groups, member states have undertaken to protect the human rights of all refugees and migrants, regardless of status. I emphasize that part. There will be attention paid to root causes and drivers of refugee and migrant movements, and these will become a priority with the aim of improving conditions in countries of origin so people are not forced to flee or to migrate. Refugees and migrants will find inclusion programs on arrival in a new country, language training, schools, all children to be in school within a few months at most, scholarships, jobs. Refugee camps will become an exception, temporary, only in emergencies.
Numbers has grown, as we all know, but they are still manageable if we approach international cooperation in the spirit of shared responsibility, which is expressed in this outcome document.
When we return on Network Africa, Nigeria's Air Force reiterates its ability to address the nation's security challenges. Do join us again.